an hour to rent a facility. We want it to look inviting and them to feel like they're getting what they paid for. And so when you first approach Kirkwood, there are some windows that have broken seals. We have, not this year, but last year we were given funding to replace about half of those, and we did not have the money in the budget for this year, so we are asking for funding to be able to finish up that project and replace the remaining windows that have broken seals so they don't look foggy and dirty. On the next page, this building was built in 1975, and these are the original panic bars from 1975 as far as I can tell. And some of them, we have a very hard time securing the building in the evening. They sometimes will not lock back once they are pushed in and locked open so that people have access to the building for an event. It is very hard to get some of them to lock back. And so for the security of the facility, we would like to replace those at a cost of $4,000. In 2003, that facility had some renovations where we had multiple HVAC units that were placed on the roof, and one of those units is a very large unit that runs a banquet hall, and then there are, I believe there's a total of 8 units, and 7 of them are smaller units and one a larger unit. And so we are asking to replace one of those smaller units, cost estimate of $20,000. We've had to replace several over the past few years, so we are just trying to replace one at the time so that they, do not all go out at once, and then we are unable to fulfill our obligations for renting the facility to people who have paid to have their events there. And then we have the new digital sign at Kirkwood, and it was put on the original base for the sign that was already there, and so it does not look very inviting. So we would like to dress up the base of that with some stone veneer, and that cost would be around $2,000. On the next page, if you look at the parking lot for Kirkwood, it is very hard to see the parking lot lines. In many cases, we have tried to stripe it ourselves in the past. That doesn't seem to last very long. So we have an estimated cost of $10,000 per parking lot because there's a parking lot on each side. And we are recommending to do the larger parking lot on the 12th Street side in this upcoming fiscal year. Table replacement, we've taken all of the broken tables, taken them apart, used the parts from broken tables to fix some tables, but we currently do not have enough banquet tables to fulfill an obligation of, what our maximum capacity is with that, and food tables. And then also we are asking for an additional 3 round tables because that would make us also at full capacity. And so there's an estimated cost of $3,400 for 10 banquet tables and 3 round tables. We are asking to update the PA system. Currently there's like a CD player and microphones, and that's pretty much what you have. A lot of people would like to be able to Bluetooth things, and so we are asking to upgrade our PA system for $4,000. The benches in the hallways, they are original to the facility as far as I can tell, and if you sit on them, you feel like you might go through. No one has. It has not been any kind of issue, but it just, the padding has shrunk down over time. And so we are asking to replace those for $5,000. These benches are used a lot. A lot of times people will, congregate in the hallways and that sort of thing. And so we do need to replace those. On the next page, I know this number seems outrageous, but I have tried to go through and look at the chairs that would, work the best. The chairs that they got in 1975 have worked the best. The storage room is only so big, and when you store 700 to 900 chairs, we have a capacity of 700 for seating. You have to have chairs that will stack so that you can get them all in that room. And these chairs are $650 per chair. That sounds outrageous, but these chairs also have been there since 1974 when they were getting the building to open in 1975. And they are the original chairs, and they are taken up and down multiple times a weekend. So they have lasted, and the new chairs will outlast us. So we do need to try to start doing some replacement because they also are multicolored. I wasn't even born when they built this building. So I don't know why they chose to do that, but a lot of people do not want to use like the orange chairs or the blue chairs or yellow chairs. They want the black or the white chairs, and we only have about 90 of each of those because over time a few of them have broken. We had about 100 each. And so that is something that is highly requested, is new chairs at Kirkwood. Yes. Yes, and they're probably in the best shape because no one wants to use them. And then I do not have an estimated cost, but I believe these paintings, the wall art inside, was put in by the high school several years ago, but because we do have so much traffic in there, people have bumped into them, and they are starting to be worn. That's something that we just kind of need to keep on our radar for replacement or removal over time. Are there any questions about Kirkwood? Okay, so for the library, the computers, we are requesting to replace 17 computers. We have staff computers and then the computers that are available to the public. The public comes in and uses those computers every day that we are open. And many of the computers are between 10 and 12 years old, and they'll freeze up and have to be rebooted when people are trying to use them. So we are asking to replace those, and the estimated cost, which you can see, is around $40,000. And then we are asking to increase our part-time budget to $30,000. Are any questions? Okay, Roanoke Canal Museum and Trail. The Canal Museum has not had a supervisor since right after COVID. We had that position has been frozen, and so we have had to reduce the hours of the Roanoke Canal Museum to only be open Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 10 to 4. That facility is pretty much run by part-time. Our recreation superintendent does work with the Friends of the Canal to try to, assist them with some programs, but we do not have a staff person that is dedicated to being able to have programs, do tours, so on and so forth. So we are asking to add this frozen position back. And then because TJ Davis is our main hub and Kirkwood takes so much time and attention, we would then want to move Kirkwood Adams Community Center, the rentals and all of the calls would then go to the Canal Museum supervisor, and they would handle both the museum and Kirkwood. On the next page, we have cameras. Our cameras are currently not working, and that is an estimated cost of $6,000 to replace the cameras in inside and outside of that facility. The rails, you can see from the pictures, the rails really need to be replaced on the balcony, and that's an estimated cost of $5,000. And then on the next page, the bateau, we have that area locked because it is not safe for, you don't want kids to go in and try to climb on the bateau, and that is an estimated cost of $50,000 to replace the bateau. We have been working with the Friends of the Canal for the past few years. When we do our 5K in September, the Friends have taken any proceeds that we have for that and have earmarked it towards the bateau. And I believe there's around $10,000 that they have earmarked that can assist with replacing that, because they do see that as a priority and would like to do what they can to help replace that exhibit. Any questions about the canal? Okay, so for parks.
Oh, was there one more page on the canal?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss a page? Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Yes, we have this past, not this fiscal year, but the fiscal year before, we were able to replace the large exhibit when you first come in, and there's four screens there. That exhibit was a cost of about $10,000 to have the company come in and redo all of the graphics and provide the equipment to replace that exhibit. And so we have 2 additional exhibits that are digital and outdated, and one of our part-time staff has tried to put buttons on there, and you have to use a mouse to click instead of being able to walk in and push it and then it tell you the story of the canal or the river. Then it's had to be modified just so that it will work. And so we are requesting $10,000 to be able to have these put back to their original quality. Any other questions? So parks, we do have a large number of parks, and they are older and have several maintenance needs. We really would like to kind of finish up some things at Emory Park. We currently, right now, in our current budget, we're trying to use some funding that we had just for our general parks maintenance to do a few upgrades to the bathrooms at Emory Park. And then the skate park has been added to the back part of the dilapidated tennis courts. If you go to T-Ball, every parking space in this main parking area is full. Our overflow by the water tower is full, and then Cleveland and 9th Street is also almost blocked many times for the number of kids who are participating in the program. And so we would like to take the remaining tennis courts and provide a parking area. So we would like to resurface that for an estimated cost of $75,000, so that will eliminate the parking on the street, make it safer, and then also put it into that eyesore. At Rochelle, the bathrooms are very old, and there are roots that have grown all through all of the piping, and the facility itself is dilapidated. We would like to remove that facility, and then closer to, now that the playground has moved and then we have the pickleball courts, we would like to put just a 2-stall restroom that is closer to the actual facilities that people use at that park, and that estimated cost is $80,000. It would just be, wouldn't be as big as the ones we did at Challoner, because there's a men's and a women's, and there's more than one restroom in each of those. So it would just be 2 stalls unisex so that people could go, because we do have a lot of people who are using those pickleball courts at this time. We are trying to come up with some parking. Public Works and Planning is assisting us with getting that in the works to take the grass area beside the pickleball court and turn it into a parking area, because people are blocking 3rd Street and then also parking in the school maintenance parking area. And if we have a facility that's being well used, we want to provide parking for the public and then restrooms for them to be able to use. It would have the locks on it like the ones at Challoner, where the bathrooms would open at a certain time and then close at a certain time, so they wouldn't be left open all night. And then at Long Park, that playground is over 40 years old. I said on here it was over 30. I did some research and I've looked, and that was put in around 1985. And so that playground does need replacement, estimated at $75,000.
And we want to add that that is the one that's on tonight's agenda for surplus declaration. I think our attention has been brought to this particular playground, especially lately with the social media campaign from change.org, but we had a really long, hard winter this past year, and I think every layer of paint since 1985 has chipped and peeled off of that in the last 6 months. And so we feel like due to the current conditions, that it's just better for us to just remove it, declare it surplus, or ask council to declare it surplus and remove that playground, but understanding that there's not a plan in place right now to replace it. But I think for liability purposes, we recommend removal of that, and really removal and stabilizing the ground will be probably more attractive right now than the dilapidated playground.
Right.
In park environment.
Because of those conditions, we also are requesting that we replace that that would be that's the only playground at the TJ Davis complex. Restroom doors in parks, some of them stick and they are bent. We have to have cages and things in front of them. So we are requesting to replace 6 doors for $5,400 at several different parks. We want them to be secure, and then also when we winterize the bathrooms, we want it to kind of be weatherproof so that the pipes don't freeze in the bathrooms and so forth. Because we have heaters and things, but we just need to make it so there's not extra drafts coming in from rusted outdoors and that kind of thing. Replacing the electrical box at Emory Park. When we had the skate park put in, they did put some lights out there. They cut all of the bushes from around that electrical panel, and we have since realized that there are several things that we do not need out there, and we would like to have this area upgraded and consolidated to not have one of these. The one on the left controls a lot of like the tennis court lights. Well, we don't have that anymore, so we don't need that panel and wires and things. And so we would like to have that redone for an estimated cost of $2,600. On the next page, we would like to be able to maintain the statue at MLK Park. The Martin Luther King Jr. statue is, the base is kind of coming apart. That was a statue, I believe, that, people in the community raised money for and had that placed in the park, but we do need to maintain that. I have spoken with Lashley Monuments about the granite portion to try to get I had no idea how much that would even cost, but between that and then fixing the metal areas, there's an estimated cost of $8,000 to repair that. The metal part around his feet are attached to that metal base. we would put a new sign on there because it's peeling up, but where all those cracks are, we would have all of that kind of welded back together. But then the granite portion, some of the granite is missing, and they would need to replace that granite. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's some ground lights that were put in with the donation of the Martin Luther King Jr. statue, and then also at the Sarah Keys monument. I don't know exactly who comes through there. I know there's a lot of kids that go through that park when they get out of school, but somehow every time we fix the ground lights, they get broken within the same week. So we've repaired those multiple times, and so we have started a process of removing those lights that are ground lights. They've busted out the lights that are on poles, but we will be having Dominion come and fix those because we don't want the park to be dark. But I don't know if kids just walk through and think it's fun to step on the lights, or I don't know. I just know that we have replaced them, and within the same week they've been broken back off. So that is not cost effective. And I don't know how to keep them from doing that. But we do want to have light in the park, but we feel like that the pole lights will be easier to continue to maintain. So we are having Dominion come and look at those to fix those lights. We need an aerator for our athletic fields, and so we do try to do some, maintain the grass, and we do not have a very good process right now of trying to aerate, and so we are requesting to purchase an aerator to pull behind our tractor for $2,300. Then at Ledgerwood, the lights still work most of the time. There's a few that decide when they want to work and when they don't want to work. We have had a lot of help through Dominion to come out there and work on those lights, but they are starting to fail. They are approaching 50 years old, and there are 4 fields. You can choose to do one field at the time. Typically, the cost is higher than if you get them all to come at one time, but our lowest quote for that was $600,000 to replace the lights at Ledgerwood. That is also where we've had several tournaments. We have the middle school softball team plays at Ledgerwood, and then all of our rec league, the rookie league, the minors, and the majors all play at Ledgerwood.
Hey, Kelly, just for talk about the lighting there, and correct me if I'm wrong, we can't just kind of like piecemeal it because of the new lighting with LEDs that it doesn't require maybe as many pole structures and the whole networking system to get the lighting.
Right. If a field has, let's say, 4 to 6 poles now that are like telephone pole, light poles, they won't retrofit the 2 companies that we spoke with will not retrofit LED lights on these poles. They require them to be the metal poles, and when they replace them, if there's 4 or 6 sets of banks of lights, then they would probably only replace them with 2 or 3 to give off the same amount of light per field.
Be a whole lot of money at one time, but tourism's always telling us, we got to spend that money for tourism, and certainly that field brings right much tourism, people coming in here.
From what I understand, tourism dollars can't be spent on maintenance.
When they helped us with the bathroom, was that because it was new? It wasn't maintenance. Didn't they help us put up some restrooms,
Several years
concession
ag-
stands or something like that?
Several years ago, they did assist with providing newer concession stands with restrooms. We have asked about some restroom options as of recent, just in conversation, and that did not have any positive feedback.
Okay.
Any other questions about parks? Okay, our transportation budget, really the only increase is for fuel. And we do get some reimbursement from the county for providing transportation to senior citizens in our community. So
Where are you on the transport, or is that in here?
I don't have I don't have any more pictures. It's just in their budget, on the budget pages.
Okay, all right.
budget.
We're changing packets. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
That was all of the additional budget needs that I had. I was just speaking of the last two budgets, which is transportation, and that is the only real increase. I don't have, pictures for that. It's just fuel. And then, I believe this year for tourism, instead of estimating what we may or may not get, we were going to propose a zero budget, and then once they have approved any of our occupancy tax, do a budget amendment to include that in the budget. Okay. So if you look back on the first page of your booklet, I have gone through a very long list of things. They're not real fun things, but there are a lot of maintenance needs that Parks and Recreation has, and you can see what we have ranked as our top priorities, which would be having our staff back to provide programs for the community. And then the Emory Park parking lot, we would like to go ahead and complete that. We have rerouted the trail so that it does not cut through where people would be pulling through there. But we really need to try to get that parking lot so that we want to finish some things, because if we take and we do a little here and a little there, then everything just kind of looks piecemeal. So we really want to kind of finish up now that we have the skate park at Emory. We would like to finish off the tennis courts with some parking so that that is more complete. And then at Rochelle, if we are able to get the bathrooms, and we just had a playground installed with the pickleball courts, we're working on some parking, that hopefully that park will kind of be complete. And then Long Park, the playground does need replacing desperately. I do feel like that the roof leaks at TJ Davis are going to cause damage if we do not get those fixed. The library computers are a priority, because that is the main computers that the public citizens use. If they do not have access to computers, they go to the library and use those daily. And then we rent out Kirkwood, and so if we could finish up those windows, Kirkwood would look a lot more inviting. Since people are paying to use that facility, we want it to look as nice as possible. The mini split at Joe Story, they are failing. We had to scramble together some money this year to replace one. And so we don't, we may not have that money if we are not specifically given money designated to do that in the future years. And then we want to keep on a schedule of replacing HVAC at Kirkwood so that we don't end up with the building, not having heat or air, whatever the season it is, when we're renting it out, and then have to refund people because their event was not successful based on, something that we didn't do. So that would be our top 10 priorities. Any other questions?
Did you actually get bids on some of these things? Like you said, you got a $600. I don't know if it was a real detailed bid or just an estimate.
For the lights, You said 600 or six?
I'm just, you
The
s- you men-
600,000 for the lights at Ledgerwood? Yes, I did not get them this year. I got them last year when I requested this also, but we had Qualite and Musco Lighting to actually give us detailed bids for that.
What about something a lot less money, like I picked the library computers?
Yes, that estimate is actually attached in the libraries. If you flip over the page, there's a estimate from Shoshin with that full
Is there
amount.
something special about them? I mean,
It's
I thought computers had come down a lot.
Well,
That's
if you
over
look at the
$2,000
estimate,
a piece.
if you turn the page from the library, then this gives you a detailed breakdown
Oh,
of what the estimate includes.
Yeah, on the,
Which page is it?
the
Oh,
page that says Shoshin Technologies at the top, and there's a difference between the staff workstations and the public use workstations. The public use starts towards the bottom, where it talks about 10 workstations at about $1,500 a piece.
yeah, so about 14,000 of it is staff, but staff to use, staff workstations.
And the computers at the library are 10 to 12 years old.
And then so the public use workstations are about 22,349, so in total for the library staff and public, the estimate is just over 39,000.
Mhm.
So it would be 17 devices.
Yeah, okay, well,
Basically, looks like
Yeah.
the computers are about, they're ready, like you look at $600, for a computer, but then when you start looking at all this software and all these other things you have to attach to it to integrate the systems, correct?
And-
It throws it up.
And any of the computers that are recommended for replacement are typically ones that are not going to be able to be sustained by the new operating systems. And so some of them are so old that they're just going to continue to not work, and they present security risk.
is the $6,000 that's new workstation, is that like physically some new desk and that type thing to set it up?
Where
I
where
mean,
you
is that-
at?
And
is
the
something-
$600 per station
unit?
setup, that is for I guess like the labor costs and all that associated with setting up the computers and
Getting connected to the
removing the old
network.
computers
Mhm.
and getting them, getting the softwares put on them and so forth.
If we did that, would we try to get more than one bid? Or is this,
This is
Who
through
we deal with?
Shoshin, which the city has.
We would follow our purchasing policy on that, so we always look for the lowest price, but we do solicit through our vendor, our IT vendor, to make sure we're getting devices that pass the muster for cybersecurity, and that we're going to get good quality equipment. There's a lot of bad players. We don't want to just buy something off the internet randomly without doing the homework just because it's the cheapest.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I recommend at this point we take maybe a 10-minute recess.
I'll go smoke a cigarette.
Might end up spending $10,000 to get the software, set up the platform, integrate everything.
Ready? All right. Well, good morning, Mayor and Council. This is my first time up at this podium. I figured I'd try this out.
Go ahead.
So we are in fire non-personnel operating expenses. And if you look at ours, it kind of gives the illusion that we're asking for a little less, but unfortunately we're not.
Chief, give us a minute to catch up to you,
Okay. Take your time.
because you have 2 pages, fire personnel and fire non-personnel.
Yes.
We were good at it earlier.
On one of them, it's about page 12 on the big packet. Section 9, by non-personnel. About page 12.
We got at it earlier if we had it pages.
Okay. It's after planning and after police.
Yes, sir.
About page 12 in the big packet.
All right, everybody. Okay. So, I'm just going to start at the, it's labeled as the 2024-2025 FEMA AFG. It is actually my intention to, for us to put in for a AFG grant for this coming year. And that is to replace our air packs. So just to give you a little history, our self-contained breathing apparatus, they are somewhere between 10 and 11 years old. I think we got some that are 11, some that are 10. Some are out of warranty now. They just went out of warranty. Some are going out of warranty. They just went to National Fire Protection Association standards behind. So they set a standard as to this is what it's supposed to meet. It's supposed to have all these bells and whistles, and it just went the second one behind. We've been in contact with the grant writer about this, and this was kind of all part of the plan because it puts you in a better category or gives you a better chance to get replacement. To replace all these, you're looking about 35 air packs. You're looking about $300,000. So obviously, we feel like we stand a better chance, and it would be a whole lot easier on the city for us to try to do that through a grant. The cost for the grant is $6,000. We've had a lot of success with this grant writer in the past 6 years. I think we've taken in 4 grants, totaling somewhere around $670-some thousand that we've gotten through this particular grant writer. So that is why we're asking for that money. And if we get that grant, it should be a 5% match, so it'd be somewhere around $15,000. But I believe that's going to be in the next budget that the grant.
If funded, it would be in the
right.
next budget year. And I just want to say that this is a good example of contracting out a grant writer to apply for grants.
Yes.
Because they
Yeah.
specialize in this specific type of grant. They have a successful background in obtaining that funding, and so
Yes.
it's more advantageous for us to pay for the grant writer to apply for the grant. So, all right, keep going.
If there's no questions, we'll move right along. We did ask for a small increase, a $3,000 increase in training and travel. The reason being is we have 20 EMTs, and 6 EMRs. I believe it's 6 EMRs now. So we have to maintain continuing education, so 80 hours every 4 years for our EMT and EMR certifications. We were doing this through the college, but the college is kind of fell off, and we've had to outsource this. So we outsourced this through another company. So we're doing online training through another company, and they're keeping up with our continuing education hours. So that's what that small increase was for. Tires for apparatus and staff vehicles. We did ask for a $1,500 increase in this. The reason being is NFPA requires that we replace tires on an apparatus every 7 years. That is whether they need to be or not. They have to be replaced. We do try to follow the standards that we can afford to follow. with us having 5 apparatus falling under that category, inevitably we're going to fall into a year that a staff vehicle is going to need tires. So we asked for a small increase in that line just to cover our staff vehicle in the same year. So it's about $5,000, and we do get those under state contract. We get them through Colony Tire and Rocky Mount. It's about $5,000 to replace tires on our apparatus. So we were at $5,000. That was giving us just enough money to replace tires on one apparatus. Then that left no money to replace them on a staff vehicle. So we asked for a small increase so we could just replace some tires on staff vehicles also, and QRVs. Apparatus maintenance and repairs. We were at 12.5 this year, and we were grossly underfunded in that line. On a good year, we're going to spend somewhere around $10,000 if we don't have any major breakdowns on apparatus, just because we have so much maintenance that is required that we have to do to these trucks. We have to do pump maintenance. We have to do pump testing. We have to do annual engine maintenance. All that stuff has to be performed. It just so happens we did end up with some major breakdowns this year. That particular line right now is sitting at about $25,000 we spent this year, so we've had to pull money from other places to make up the shortfalls. So we're asking that line be increased to $20,000.
Which line are you on?
I am in apparatus maintenance and repair.
Okay.
So we're asking that be increased to $20,000. I can break that down some more if need be, but okay. All right. Well, that was all of my increases. Now I'm going to go to capital. So in capital, we're requesting $195,000 in capital. Number one being out of our Station 2. I know you're aware that we run first responder, so we run with Halifax County EMS. In most cases, we are able to get there before they are, and we've been really successful with that. Right now, we're running a 28-year-old apparatus, and it is a Ford F550 that we're running with EMS out of our Station 2. It has had suspension problems. It has had a long list of problems. And it is not really cost effective to run the way we're running it. So we are asking that we replace that with some sort of pickup truck, Ford F-150, Chevy 1500, something like that we can utilize also for putting our hose in after the fact, putting our turnout gear in, our soiled gear, that kind of stuff. So it would kind of have a double use, but we'd be able to utilize that to run EMS calls on, and it'd be safer for our personnel also. We're also requesting $98,000 for a generator for Station 1. Now, let me break that down for you. So I know that seems like a whole lot of money, and it is a whole lot of money. So the generator we currently have across the street is a 20 kW generator. So 20 kW is about what you would have to run your whole house. That is not what's going to run a whole fire station. So in the event that the power goes out at that station, we can't even fill air bottles. It won't even run our air machine to fill our air bottles.
Well, you usually, I know, like you said, house 20,000, and then a big house or a small garage would probably be about 50,000. What are you looking at, about 100K?
It's about, I think the one at our Station 2 is about 125 kW. So we need something quite a bit bigger. I don't know if it was just an oversight, I guess, when the building was built, but right now it just powers an emergency panel which powers just certain things throughout the building in the event the power goes out. We actually will not even have air conditioning if it goes out in the summertime. We will have heat because our heat's gas, but like I said, then if we need to fill air bottles or something like that, we're left reaching out to other departments because we can't run our air machine on the generator we have. The reason that it's so expensive is the fact that the way that it was installed is you have to basically upgrade the whole service. So the whole electrical service on the building has to be upgraded. So that's the one reason that it would be so expensive to do it. We are also asking for $30,000 to add a storage shed to Station 2. And I'd like to take a minute to explain that also. So we have a $125,000 safety house that we received on the grant. Currently, we house that at our old station. So our old station being the one off of Hamilton Street. That particular station has been vacated for 20 years now. We moved out of that station and moved into the station over on 125. For 20 years, we have not been able to maintain that station because we didn't have the funding to do it. There was a roof put on at one point, but that is the only maintenance that's been done to it. We get about $15,000 to do maintenance on a 30-year-old station and now a 20-year-old station, which doesn't leave a whole lot of money to do maintenance on a now 63-year-old station. So it is, it is in poor condition. And I do not see us ever using it again in the future. It's just the bathrooms don't meet ADA compliance. We have to start planning for the future, like possibly hiring, it hadn't happened yet, but possibly hiring a female firefighter. If that were to happen, that's one bunk room back there, so that basically everybody sleeps in the same room. So I just don't see the benefit of us maintaining that station anymore if we can build a storage building and basically use that at our new Station 2, the one over off of 125. So we're requesting $30,000 to go towards it, and then the city can auction off the building, give it to somebody else. We'll gladly step aside.
We tried that one time before, but we didn't auction it, but we didn't get anybody that was really interested in buying it. I was just wondering if possibly that the county might, they seem to need more room, if they might would have any interest in.
I think some of the, I'm not sure. There probably could be interest in the building. I think what some of the challenges have been in the past is the proposed uses if another organization wanted to use the building because of the building codes and the occupancy codes that they'd be required to comply with. So there are some, that could be an issue, but that doesn't mean that the building's not usable. It's just for certain public purposes and code requirements, there are some challenges that could exist, especially because it's not ADA compliant and some other things. And again, and I think that at one point maybe the building had been used like a little bit more for storage, but if it's mostly being used to store the safety house and that's able to be rectified, then we can look at doing something with the surplus property.
Right. Okay.
But I guess I want to say, like, our surplusing of the property, we realize that the property may not be suitable for all the various intended purposes that another individual or property owner could want to use it for. It would just have to be code compliant.
Right, okay. And last but not least, I did mention that our Station 2 is 20 years old. There are 3 air conditioning units currently at that building. One of those air conditioning units about 2 years ago, the compressor played out, so we had to replace it. It's about $10,000 roughly to replace one of those units. So we're asking that the other 2 be replaced since they are 20 years old. So that would be at a cost of $20,000. If you don't have any questions, that concludes mine.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Chief, I've got a question for you real quick. And I'm hearing them asking, it was something that came up at the beginning. At the beginning of your talk on capital request, you mentioned a truck. That's not on this spreadsheet, is it?
It was on the Yes, it was on the,
Oh, okay, all right. I see that. That's where that vehicle is. Thank you. I'm sorry.
apologize, I probably should have mentioned that.
No, I was looking under fire, so.
Man, we can take credit. We can keep sitting there, it ain't gonna be worth nothing. We having police next, or what? HR?
Okay, we're gonna go out of order. Human Resources is picking up lunch, to drop off some food, but, if we're ready to move forward with the next. Okay, we'll do this, and we'll go through these couple, and then before, we can take a quick break for lunch if we want to, before police jumps in. Or work through it.
Okay, good morning. My budget is pretty much the same, except since our auditor is going to retire, we're going to have to contract a new auditor, which is going to cost more money than what Greg charged. So the only category that I increased was the professional services expense. And, hopefully, I don't know. We've already put the RFP out for the auditor. We're waiting to get responses back. And we'll just have to see what the estimates come in, what they can,
You put a time on the
yes,
thing?
May 2nd. But that is basically the only increase for finance.
That it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The police now? Oh, okay, HR, okay.
Hello, how are you guys? Mine's going to be the shortest and sweetest request ever. For HR expenses, I would like to keep everything the same compared to current year, with the exception of one item, and that's the health reimbursement account. The current budget is at $75,000. I would like to increase it to $78,000 based on current employee usage.
That's all you have?
That's
Okay.
it. Everything else is
Anybody
the same.
have
I'm happy to answer any questions though related to the budget.
We haven't gotten into any personnel expenses and things like that, but just for the council's notice as well, like our renewal on our health insurance was very reasonable. And so there are some, but there's always increases that, come along. It was an anticipated increase, but not as bad as what we could have predicted. So most of the increases that are that are borne upon us are mandated by state and federal laws. Retirement rates are going up some. That's something that's out of our control. So most of these things are, but we are seeking the best and the most efficient and affordable ways to meet the needs of our employees.
And to Kelly's point, now that we do have those rates, that's when we really start to get into the numbers for personnel and benefits budget, which is spread across all departments, but we're in the final stages of trying to pull at least a first pass together on that.
What exactly is the health reimbursement?
So each full-time employee, as you know, we pay for their Blue Cross medical benefit. That medical benefit has a $3,500 deductible. The city, to offset that cost, also does a $3,000 health reimbursement account per employee. So someone like me that has employee and children on the group plan, any member within that plan could utilize that. We use it two ways. If you file your insurance and it's on the 70/30 co-insurance, you'll get what's called an explanation of benefits from Blue Cross. It will say what you may owe and how much has been applied towards the deductible. The first 500 of that $3,500 deductible belongs to the employee. We're willing to reimburse the rest. Once you hit the $3,000, then you're out until the next fiscal year. The other way would be with prescriptions, which is probably the more common use. We want our employees to either stay healthy or become healthy. Some prescription drugs are very expensive. So we have identified that anything over $10, which is the first tier of prescription drugs on our medical plan, per 30 days, we're willing to reimburse as well. So if someone's blood pressure medicine is $100, we'll reimburse $90 of that after they purchase it. Again, once they max out the $3,000, that's it. And then it restarts every July 1 along with the plan itself.
So if we have an employee with, say, one child,
Yes.
and they both have costs during the year, they would pay the first 500,
That's right.
and the city would pay the next 3,000,
Up to 3,000.
up to 2,500.
Right. And it's for any eligible group member. So every employee's going to get it because they're getting that employee benefit paid by the city. But then you can elect to put children or a spouse on your plan. They're also eligible if they're in that group plan, but it's $3,000 per unit. So I have 3 people, myself plus 2 kids. It's just $3,000.
Just 3.
Kelly may have 1 person herself. It's still just $3,000.
So it's not 3 times 25 if you
no.
got 3 people.
That's
That
right.
was what I was trying to get at.
Yes. So if my child has a surgery and then I have a surgery, if I've already utilized that benefit, I don't have that benefit when it comes time for my medical need.
All right, I understand that. Okay.
And this was done as a way, like, council adopted this policy many, many years ago as a way to help with the rising costs borne on employees and the cost of living, especially to help impact those. It really benefits the people, especially at all different salary levels, but
Yes.
in
After you
particular,
told me
the
what it
lower
was,
earners.
I remembered
Remembered.
that years ago, we did that so we could get a lower premium.
It does help
on
with
it.
that to demonstrate
Premium
you
be lower.
continue that benefit. But also, it's a use it or lose it. So not every employee has that need. I mean, knock on wood, I feel like I'm going to jinx myself, but I've used it when I had Kate many years ago. She's 9 now, and I haven't had any eligibility to use it since then. But then there are other people that are using that and maxing it out every year. So the budget doesn't reflect $3,000 per every full-time employee we have. It's an estimate based on the actual use over previous years.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you.
Do we require employees or to at least have a physical or something once a year as part of that?
Not unless it's identified as part of their job, like the fire department does that annually. Physicals, your annual checkup is 100% covered by Blue Cross under our current plan. I can't say everyone utilizes that benefit.
Might be something we want to look at. I mean, I just think prevention is the best cure, if at all possible, and they're going to get the 3,000, and it doesn't cost anything. It might be something we might want to look at.
We could definitely look into that and see if other communities do that. I don't know that we can mandate it, but we could maybe make it a little easier to access. We could look into that.
And the 3,000 is basically like once you hit your deduct, like kind of certain things. It doesn't qualify for co-pays, but it's mostly
Right.
for items. There's a certain amount for prescriptions you can do, so there's some limitations, but.
Yeah, a lot of times deductible would be like blood work, anything outside of your regular physical. If you're having any x-rays, MRIs, CTs, any sort of surgical procedure. But then your regular doctor's visits throughout the year, that goes towards your out-of-pocket, and we don't look at that when considering the reimbursement.
And then as far as physicals for employment, we do have pre-employment screenings.
Yes.
So every employee does have some degree of a screening
Yes.
by a medical provider.
So every full-time employee, as part of their hiring process, goes for a physical and drug screen. But then we don't. And we pay for that under I think it's actually called employee drug screening, but that's where all the pre-employment hits for all departments. But then after that, outside of public safety, or if we need to do a fitness for duty to make sure someone can continue physically to do their job duties, we're not mandating that. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do y'all want to let Chief start or take a recess and eat, or what do you want to do?
We got anything?
You want to get started? All right. Or we can make it a working meeting if y'all want to help yourselves.
Let's get our lunch and then
It's
come
up
back
to you.
and then he do his report. Give us a couple of
It's
minutes.
totally up to you, yeah.
Yeah. I'm all that.
Good morning, good afternoon, members of the council. It's good to be here in front of you again. Coming with my hand out just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through this line by line. There's a couple of things that are important for me to highlight that are extremely noticeable changes. And I think that would be the most judicious method to not waste your time.
Excuse me, Chief. The police spreadsheet is about halfway in the middle of the packet, and then they're on the other sheet as well. But and then, Chief, if you could make sure you're in the microphone there, so the folks on YouTube can hear you, that'd be great.
This year we had budgeted $10,000 for that. We have found that has been insufficient, and so we're proposing a 50% decrease in that line item to ensure that we can make it the year be able to address all our needs as far as tires go on our vehicles, especially our patrol vehicles that are subject to operating at high risk. The next line item is going to be travel and training. That is going to be line item, the line number is 5,400, so it's about halfway down. It should say travel/training/meeting. That line item acts as our training budget. And one of the things that I believe is necessary as we pursue some targets we want to hit, which is part of the city's greater plan for, long-term growth, is ensuring that we're developing the next round of leaders in the agency. And one of the tools for that is the FBI's Command College. And so we're in the process of identifying 3 supervisors over the next 3 years who will attend some leadership courses through that, and so with that comes an increase in costs for developing the next round of supervisors and leaders in the agency. So, any questions on those two? Okay. All right. The next is going to be the software support expense. Originally, it's last year we were budgeted for about $15,000 due to some unforeseen increases in the need to acquire software, and now the expense of running the software. That, in addition to 2 additional pieces of software we're requesting, which will help us better manage some assets, but also provide us with 24-hour support from our records management vendor. That line item you can see is we're requesting going from $15,000 to $44,000 to cover all the associated costs with that. The next line item that I would like to draw your attention to is going to be 54082, which should read as SRT operations. Last year when I came before you, I stated that we were in the process of reconstituting the agency's special response team, and it's incumbent for us as an organization as big as we are when we're fully staffed to be able to handle and address the majority of the types of incidents we will encounter. It's an unwritten rule, or it's an expectation of agencies we may request assistance from, that we should be able to handle certain things. And so we've taken steps to do that. We've just announced the first round of officers who will be part of that team, and so now we're moving into upfitting, training, and things of that nature. So last year we requested money for equipment for the team in the form of specially tailored rifles for the team, and we're looking to hopefully reallocate that funding that was allocated last year, in addition to a small increase, and be able to acquire the necessary safety equipment for the team to operate. That, with the regularly reoccurring operating fund for the team, puts us at $20,500. And the last thing I'd like to draw your attention to is our capital request. That's going to be on the other sheet. So you will see that you'll see a line called ShotSpotter and Analytics. Resource Router is the analytics. It's separate, and the cost you see is over a 3-year period. So each year, ShotSpotter, first, I don't want to assume anything. So ShotSpotter is a form of monitoring equipment and software that detects gunshots in a monitored area. The national average has seen cities that deploy the software, their 911 response and dispatch time go from about 3 minutes down to less than a minute, which is saved numerous lives, and it puts officers to within feet of where the gunshots are actually occurring. Many of you probably get calls from your constituents, I heard gunshots in this part of town or that part of town, and half the time we don't get calls for those, believe it or not. And sometimes we get calls the following morning. This software would allow us to respond immediately and to the right area. And the analytics that go along with it is, I dare use the term predictive, but it helps with hotspot tracking and analyzing the data and the trends, and it has benefited numerous agencies that we've consulted with on the software. Together, there's a discount applied, but every year it's $49,500 for ShotSpotter and $23,500 for Resource Router. The numbers you're seeing is the total over a 3-year period. All right. The next line is it says Paladin drones. So Paladin is one of the vendors we looked at. We have started building out a drone program as well. We have over in the entertainment district, and then in certain special events such as Christmas on the Avenue, we've deployed drones as a force multiplier to help provide situational awareness for officers who are working these activities, and they've proved pretty much invaluable. The amount of information you're able to glean from having a bird's eye view of what's happening on the ground is priceless. Paladin is one of the vendors. The quote they gave us was $47,000. We do have another quote from a competitor that is significantly less. So we would be anywhere between $24,000 to $47,000. And this includes with Paladin, they included their back-end streaming software, which we don't need. So we would be in the neighborhood of $23,000 to about $45,000. depending on the vendor we went with. And then lastly, one of the additional targets that I have set for the department is to rebuild the K-9 program. It was impressed upon me by various agencies and people who were familiar with the Roanoke Rapids Police Department back in the early 90s and into the 2000s that we had a pretty robust K-9 program. And we are in the process of working out and acquiring another K-9 as we speak. And this would be a third K-9. And the goal is to get back to having a K-9 on each shift, which would allow us to be more effective in detecting illegal drugs, and having a force multiplier on each shift. So. Well, I don't know if they would utilize us in that manner for a cost. Seeing that the sheriff's office has 1 or 2 K-9s, I don't think I'm not sure what their K-9 program would look like. But there are instances. So, for instance, the goal with one of the K-9s would be for it to be an explosive detection dog, and part of that is for targets of opportunity that are in our area, so points of critical infrastructure such as the dam, which would obviously be a big deal if something were ever to happen to the dam. And then there are federal partners who would utilize a K-9 such as a bomb dog. It's not uncommon for explosive dog handlers to be members of like the Joint Terrorism Task Force or things like that, which would see our footprint and then the resources we'd be able to lean on in certain instances grow exponentially just from being a member of such a task force.
And are there any grants out there that we would be using to help support them?
Right. So we have, I think we applied for 2 last year. We didn't get either. And so we're constantly applying for K-9 grants. There's several different, I think SPCA, we applied for one. We didn't get it. There was a second one we applied for, but we haven't had any luck just yet. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes too, having some funds in the budget towards it helps demonstrate matching fund capabilities as well. So
That's true.
that could be helpful.
All right. Well, thank you.
I guess that, Chief, are you completed? Are you finished? Are you finished with your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Oh, no, it's just fine, it's fine, I just want to make sure. All right, we've heard from all of the departments about their requests, and with capital, we're still working on the final numbers for personnel, into those, but right now we're still looking at a preliminary difference of about $6 million in what is needed and what we may be able to afford. And so, and that does include some long-term debt, so, but over the next couple weeks, as we move into trying to accomplish a balanced budget, there will be some challenges that will persist there. But asking for any feedback or questions from the council at this time. Again, this is our first kind of official sit-down and workshop discussion on this, but any direction or priorities or anything like that that you'd like for us to work in, we appreciate your comments at this time.
You sent us an email, I think, from the state about revenues a while back, I think. Do you know any time when we might know a little bit more about how much money we're going to have to spend?
Do you want to address revenues? We've taken a first pass at revenue estimates.
Okay, we did get the property tax values from the county. They are projecting an annual levy of just the property taxes of about, $8,984,249. And then the motor vehicle taxes were around $1,198,378. That came directly from the county. So if you compare, the property taxes from this year to last year, it's about $300,000 more. I think a part of that was based on West Rock. Part of that, I don't know, they had some type of increase in their property. So, with that being said, the rescue squad would get 1 cent based on that. The prior year taxes, Kelly and I had a conversation about this yesterday. The prior year is running lower than it has been in the past, and she said that's really based on like property. People purchasing properties and that sort of thing. That's when you run into this person owes taxes on their house, and when they're selling it, that all has to be settled. Powell bill is around $550,000. Sales tax, the North Carolina League of Municipalities said that sales tax depends on which area you're in. Like Raleigh is booming, right? Their sales tax is going to increase, whereas ours is going to decrease a little bit. And there's another finance director that does like an interactive tool that he sends out to everybody, and so you can click on your county and you can kind of see how that's going to trend. So I use that. We use that a lot for the sales tax purposes. ABC profits, even though the league said that was going up, because evidently since COVID people are drinking more alcohol, but for our area it seems like that's not the case. So that's going to go down some. And grants, it depends on what grants you get per year, depends on the value of that item. Like Kelly said in Parks and Rec, that the tourism money for this year is going to be used for the feasibility study, so we didn't get any tourism money so far this year. So I really don't know what to expect next year. I hate to budget something and we not get that. So for right now, I have that as 0. Solid waste fees, we're projecting that to be around $1,800,000. Let's see. Then you have all your other fees, miscellaneous items. We are based on what the league said. The franchise tax will go up some, around $200,000. And then the interest earnings, I don't really know. I've talked to several different people about that. I think they'll stay pretty leveled off until about December. and then the interest earnings may drop. So we're still looking at that, and trying to weigh our options on that. And that's about, the most significant changes or increases, decreases.
You talked about sales tax, but did you throw out a figure? You said you had.
Okay, I figure 3,370,000.
And again, these are preliminary numbers.
Yeah.
We just had a first pass meeting on these yesterday. And so, again, we weren't prepared for a full discussion on this, but right now we're looking at what's entered in here is 19,079,664, which is
Right at 20 million.
well, no, it's closer to 19 million. It's basically right at 19 million.
Okay, I didn't get it.
It's about, 40,000 more than what we had last year?
I think it's less.
I think so. Or maybe 40,000 less than what we had last year. But
When we look at revenues, there's some revenues that are restricted for certain uses. Some you can use for any government use, general purpose funds, but you may do well in one line item and for years and other line item, it could be it could be volatile at times because some go up and down and some don't, and it's all depend on market. Some things are based on the market trends and user behavior, how willing people are to pay their bills, pay their taxes. So
based on, population, based on different spending trends.
we wish, so basically, like I said, we have to take our best estimates of revenues and align those with our best estimates of expenditures, and we can only pass a budget that equates those two spending levels. So we have about about $25 million in requests. And so,
How would you feel about, again, I'll go back to the conversation and the meeting we had with Congressman Davis. You had the information together that we got from the people that did the survey on the roads and streets and everything in town. So that should be a good reference that we could use. That's basically, a real need for our community. He seemed, in my opinion, not sure that he could get us the money. You don't ever know, but he seemed pretty confident that he could get us some resources. And that's certainly. I mean, I think Mr. Chalker, didn't you say you had 700,000? No, it was 700,000 in the power bill, I believe, this time. That sound
about
Yeah, 550.
Okay.
550.
okay. That's
well, we will request we'll request our needs of all potential funding sources. When we pass a budget, we have to know if they're guaranteed or not, and so we can't guarantee we'll get funding. We can't pass a budget that includes funding that we haven't been given a notice of award of.
And I understand that, but I think we should try to see, stay on that, cause,
Sure.
and try to see if we can get some funding on it.
We know you want to get the streets resurfaced. But yeah, it is a priority need, and we do have a plan in place now, and so we certainly will pursue all avenues of trying to get that, and the council members too are helpful in doing that with your fellow elected constituents.
Okay, is it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that conclude our business for today, or we got something else to do?
Did you have any other questions or discussion?
I just would like to say I appreciate the staff, coming and presenting their us. And, it would be wonderful if we could just pull that money out the air and meet everybody's needs, but, I do think that we're definitely gonna trust Kelly to work, try and meet as many of the needs as we can. These are just difficult times right now. I look forward to the day when I probably won't be here. But the city of Roanoke, almost a routine. I don't know if it ever gets to that, but definitely the, things that are needed will definitely be met. And that's what we're trying to do, and live better. We're just limited.
It's an endless cycle of needs. Once you think you've arrived at one place, something else breaks, but we just feel that, we have a duty to inform of those needs and express that, and my staff are probably tired of hearing me go back to a problem-solving circle, but again, as long as I know it gets loud here, but I realize other people can't see it, but until we start putting the community's problems in the middle and not putting the city in the middle as being the responsible party, it's really going to take a lot of stakeholders and teamwork and effort to address things. We've seen some successful community efforts come around, and so really it's to serve that public purpose. That we can't 100% rely on the city to solve all the problems. So, if y'all have any questions, or as you continue in your dialogue on the budget, we welcome those, and you know how to reach us, and unless there's anything further to add, staff are completed at this time, unless anyone has anything.